Okay, this is my first screen recording for task 1, and we're going to explore the web to learn about why some K through 12 schools choose to encourage and/or produce online classes for their students, and why some K through 12 schools or organizations do not choose to encourage online classes for their students. So let's just encourage your use online. And just go to a new tab and just start searching on the topic. And we'll see what we have here. Courage. Student cooperation. Let's see what this one has. Using active learning instructional strategies to create excitement and enhancing learning. Thinking critically. Let's see what else we got down here. Reader speed. Exclusive extensive workshops for faculty members. What's wrong with a 50-minute lecture? That's good. Let's see what let me see. Let me look at my search thing here. Go back to our one tab to say just search on this whole. See if we get some more. I think one of the reasons, either you have the technology and have the people to incorporate it, or you don't, would probably be one of the main things I would think why the argument would be to use or to not use. Attend online schools, it's probably all going to be that. Excuse me, I have a cold, so let's see if I just shorten this up a little. Let's see what this one has. So, is online beneficial for students? Let's see what this comes up with. There is no significant. Let's see here. I believe that research will show likewise that K through 12 learning carefully compares similar groups of children and scores. No significant difference between online, but the question for public schools far beyond it works. Cyber schools have no limitation on the amount of money they can spend to advertise. So that's a thing to kind of look at, is some schools may choose to do, let me get out a word, based on advertising. So schools may use it because of it's a way to produce money. You can do online and advertise in there, have advertisements going, which makes sense as well, that they would choose to have. So it's kind of an interesting little fact here to incorporate in some notes here. As soon as it gets going and doesn't freeze up. And I want to get this site, since that's where I got it from. Interesting. Do the formatting later. Tend to be similar to larger schools. Sorry, let's go back to the question. Traditional public schools must use their school for research on school of choice. Let's see, what is this? I guess another thing is kind of with this. So this basically help with money, help with raising money. And then this one kind of goes off to say that another reason is that you can increase your school population without really necessarily having to increase your classroom sizes or your building facilities. You can have a lot larger enrollment without having to have the building expenses along with it. So increase student population without needing more buildings, or classrooms. Get that site as well, which is the same site. I just want to make sure I remember that it is from that idea. And bookmark this one as well. Let's do bookmark it. And create a new folder and just create that and say week 7 notes. All right, let's look at some others. So that's good. So, student or districts use it because it benefits them for they can use advertising through it, and they can also have more enrollment without having to physically create space for these students, which also helps increase state funding and aid as well without the overhead. Let's see if I can find that if I start searching on that kind of topic. Needing more buildings or classrooms. Let's see, what is this one? Critical standard. 24 students. See if it talks about any of the staffing, time, class sizing. Teacher time. Let's see if I do this. Go back here, increase student population. Using the technology today. Let's see here. Students collaborating, discussing. Not surprisingly, transforming situations. Yeah, this looks like all a bunch of changing instructional approaches is not easy. Adapting and integrating technology has a long history of challenges. The challenges using schools and the classroom as well as strategies for overcoming these challenges. This kind of goes along with why they don't use it. I can copy some of this for the why they don't. Why it is not used. Get this here. And we can bookmark this one as well. Excuse me. Let's read some more here. Evolution, not revolution. Leveraging technology. And again, why they don't is because they can't find meaningful ways to incorporate. Just because you have the technology doesn't mean you're necessarily utilizing it appropriately or to the best function of that program or device. I'm enough over games. Alright. Let's think of another search here. Let's go back. Just look at a few more to see. This looks interesting. See if it pops any ideas or anything else that might be 10 things in school that should be obsolete. Teacher-centered. Filing cabinets. Alright, let's go back to this other search. These are just, looks like handbooks. Let's see if I can grab something off of the notes here and think of another. Let's see if we can do online classes to raise money. Courage online. Let's see. Virtual schools on the rise, but are they the right for K through 12 students? Let's see if we have something here. Dance lessons for of our own home. Kind of goes along with still, I mean, there's a student here that couldn't go face to face, but actually now is taking online. 250,000 students in kindergarten through 12. Wow. That's amazing how many students. Okay, so kind of just talking about what she does. Matter of debate. Yeah. Effectiveness is probably another reason they don't, because they're not sure how to. As we are with online, how do you gauge how much time someone actually takes when or is involved in the learning when you're not physically there seeing how much time they take? You have to have a set amount of hours in order to actually consider it a full course. And what are the standards you're using to measure and make sure the students are actually engaging in that minimum amount of time? Yep, using taxpayer dollars fund online. So that's another thing too here. That they are worried about using taxpayer dollars for it. School funding. Oops. Agree that doesn't work for all students. Yep. Receiving top score. Notes on here. Let's go back and see if there's another one, I think. Let's see what this one has to say. Safe haven for students. And to prevent dropouts. And again, that kind of goes back to maintaining your population. If you can't get the school kids to physically come to the school, send the school to the kids through online to get them their degree. I mean, what is the main objective? It's for the student to come out as an educated individual and able to function in society. And if there is something that's causing that student to feel not like they could be successful by coming to school, giving them the opportunity to complete it. So that's, I mean, that could be another, if it's a district that has a high rate of dropouts and looking to incorporate online education as a way to get them to degree completion, that is another reason why they might actually choose to keep and go that route. I mean, like I said, you got to look at what do you want as your outcome, and how are you going to get it. Let's see. Especially, yeah, in some of these inner city schools that it might be dangerous to actually physically go there. Where I'm from and where I live currently, that was never even a thought that popped into probably my parents' head or my head even now as a parent. But there are places where parents may say it's actually too dangerous for them to physically go there or to physically walk home from school. It's too dangerous. I'm not going to allow it. So we need to look at a way to still maintain our students and get them the education they need. So we will look at enrolling them in a course online that's still taught by us, by the school district, but they don't have to risk walking through a bad district or a street that they may not feel comfortable with to get their education and graduate and become a, you know, a successful person in society. Wow, nationally. 30% of students starting ninth grade drop out before graduation 4 years later. In low income neighbors, it's 50%. Yeah. So, like they said, the online courses are allowing students to who would normally have been a dropout to actually be someone who stays in school and completes it. That's just amazing. Wow. And it still comes with its thing, its challenges of making sure that they have access to the a computer or computer lab or somewhere they can use it. That also goes into part of you give students who are physically in class a laptop or a iPad. Why is it not then that that student, also has it at their house if they're just an online student as well? And again, it comes down to cost too. But you have to make sure that if you do offer that, that they do have a means of actually accessing the course and information. Yeah. English required. Wow. So yeah, we're not so dependent on students' reading abilities. To visual aids to help students learn. Yeah. That again would be why they're talking about some of them are just too expensive and will not work with the low end computers many of the students have at home. Yeah. Excuse me. 'Tis the season for colds. Ugh. That's an interesting route too of not thinking about physically why a student wouldn't come there. Let's see what else we have. Better save this too before I forget. So I can make sure I don't. So week 7 notes. Yeah, I mean, when you think normally why school districts wouldn't, just lack of funding and maybe education of the technology itself for people to use it and use it appropriately, but not now looking into it as an actual way because it's physically not possible for a student to actually go there. 5 critical mistakes schools make with iPads, how to correct them. Again, it goes back just not knowing the actual appropriate common mistakes, iPad, subject specific apps. Lack of teacher preparation in classroom, management of iPads. Yeah, I mean, those are all, again, why you wouldn't do that. I think it's, just again, goes back to that whole idea of having the technology but not knowing what to do with it. You can be one of the richest districts, out there, but if you don't have the means to actually implement the technology in an appropriate way, it's useless. Yeah. Adequate professional development. That is just another one of those aha moments of, okay, so you have it, now what do you do with it? Or you only knew one way to use it and were not informed of the other million ways that you could use that technology, application, program, whatever. Yep, teachers need instruction on how to incorporate the device into the learning process, which is quite different than just trying out the few apps. Expensive notebooks used by students in very traditional structured standard and classrooms. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this goes along with the online classes. I mean, a student or a teacher who's used to in the classroom, I pass out paper, I physically get it from the student, they're physically there. How do I do that same procedure virtually? If they don't know, it's not going to work. Or what's the best way to do it? There could be many different ways of incorporating that kind of same task, but one may work better for that teacher or student. Treating the iPod as a computer and expecting it to serve as a laptop. That's true too. It is a tablet. It's, I mean, but although some of them nowadays, I mean, not the iPad since it's an Apple product, but Microsoft has other ones out there that are basically a computer in itself. And again, this goes on to just knowing what you're doing, the information, the product you're receiving, and what's the purpose. And that's a good failure to communicate. I mean, if you are looking at your surrounding, community and you're trying to get support to produce an online and start up an online class and you don't communicate to that to the public who is funding usually and with their tax dollars there and don't communicate effectively to tell them why the benefits, why you're doing it, how it can benefit them, how it benefits the student, how it benefits the community in general, they're not going to buy into it and they're not going to want to give their tax dollars to this. People like their money and they don't want to have it go to waste if that's what they feel like it's doing. If they think that just, face-to-face school is where it's at and what's, best for the student, they're not going, it's going to take a lot of researching and getting them involved and having them understand the process as to why online schools would be beneficial to them. Why the devices are being introduced to the classroom. Yeah, just saying, well, other people are doing it, other districts are doing it. And I would say that this kind of goes along with what happened in our community when they tried to introduce a technology type millage to pass where they were going to give all students iPads and had no really other information out there for people to look at, to really research, to talk about why they were needing this, why they were incorporating it, why are we all of a sudden going to, get taxed this much more. And they really just didn't have a plan of action to inform their taxpayers of why they decided this and how it would be beneficial. they never stated, was it every student? Was a, 5-year-old kindergartner going to get an iPad, and how was that going to be beneficial to them versus, making sure all seniors had it and were incorporating it appropriately in the classroom. They just had a lot of what ifs that they just did not seem to address, and so therefore it did not pass. And they did not get the vote to tax the community to get that, to raise that money. So information is a powerful tool, and you need to use it to make sure that you are verbalizing why you feel it's necessary. Like I said, just because you have you might be the richest district, but if you don't have the actual means of how to use it and incorporate it appropriately, it's nothing more than, a paperweight that you're using. Very interesting. That was good. I like that. And it kind of related to what we currently saw with my district. Parent involvement. Yeah. Not really that much. Well, there's a lot of information here with that. What is this? Sorry, I just can't stop coughing for a long enough time here. Get technology donors if you need to get grants. Recycling program. Funding factory. What? These are all different places to get it, get funding. School. Let's see what this is. Online learning survey. Mm. That's a good one to just have. So I'm going to save the rest of my stuff. And that'll be the conclusion of my first 45-minute session.